All right. Kind of going off of what Brant said, just kind of looking back at Saturday's game. I thought the challenge all week was for our kids to accept the challenge, understand that this is going to be a real team that you're playing, a real football game. Everything's going to be contested, everything's going to be earned, and if you don't fight and if you don't challenge them, then you can get exposed to a certain extent because they're a talented team. And I thought our kids didn't back down from the challenge at all. I thought we had a lot of good energy, especially for a team that's not playing for bowl eligibility. I thought they had a lot of passion, a lot of fight in this game. We talk about playing clean football, playing complementary football, and we have to. Our margin for error is pretty minimal, and we've got to, make sure that we're not beating ourselves. And I thought that our kids played a pretty clean game. We didn't have really any penalties. We didn't have any turnovers. You'd like to force more turnovers, but at the end of the day, I thought that they made more big plays than we did. I thought Grayson McCall coming back, talented QB. We were hoping that he wasn't going to be in the game for this one, but the kid played lights out, and they hit some big time throws. Especially in the second half, that was tough to overcome. But that's a talented team that we played. They had 29 guys. It was the longest senior day probably I've ever seen in the history of my career right now, because they had 29 guys walk, and I know there's more of them probably going to declare and go from there. So that's a talented team, and I thought our kids, they rose to the occasion and fought, and we got to make more plays when it comes down to it. But we got one more week left. We finished up our last Tuesday practice of the year. We got one more work day, and then we'll have Thanksgiving, and then we'll get on a plane and we'll head to Jonesboro to put it all on the line one more time. And it's really the same message with our kids. You're playing for the love of the game and the love of this team, and you got opportunities to go out there and make plays one more time for this university. And I think these kids are excited. They're in a good spot. We're going to show up and we're going to go fight a really good Arkansas State team. Even though their record doesn't speak for themselves, it's a very talented team. This is I think their offense is one of the better ones we've seen. I think they got great skill. Their quarterback's good. They got one of the more veteran O-line groups I've ever seen. I think they got over 150 plus starts across the board, which I think they're one of the most experienced offensive line units in the country. Defensively, they're pretty aggressive in what they do. They're going to be a cover zero almost every single snap. We call it four press. They're going to contest everything. You got to make people miss. You got to make big plays. And special teams wise, I think they're pretty dominant as well. They're very confident. They're organized. They're not simple, but they're not complex. They're very organized and they're confident. And they've had 3 returns this year. Their specialists are really good players. They've won a lot of awards this year as well. So it's going to be a tough challenge. I think it's going to be a game like last year. It's going to be a shootout. It's going to be down to the wire. It's going to be a fun game to be a part of and a fun game to end the season on. So I think our kids are ready to roll and finish this season on a high note. So questions, we'll go from there.
Tyler Vitt played the whole game last week, but you kind of hinted that maybe you'd put in McBride, and didn't happen, though. Do you anticipate that happening this week? And are there any plans maybe for Ty Evans to get some time before the season ends? Or
there might. Right now we're rolling with Vitt, and we'll see how this game plays out. I really do. Last week was kind of a unique game. You start the game off and you get into a third down call on 3rd down and 8, and you take a sack, and we knew that their pass rush was very impressive. They're rushing 3, dropping 8 majority of the game because they're very talented up front. So we had to turn that into a running game. And with Vitt and his power run and downhill stuff, and he hit a few runs on that, I think it kind of caught him off guard a little bit too. And we tried to ball control a little bit, which they ball controlled the entire game. But we tried to hold and run, so that was more of a Vitt style game. We'll see where this one goes. There's no guarantees for Brady or Ty in this game, but we're rolling with Vitt right now.
Is there anything holding back why Ty hasn't been out there? I mean, we haven't really seen him throw a pass at all this year. Is there a reason for that?
No. He came back off of COVID. He missed really 3 weeks. He was out literally a month, based off of COVID and protocols of that nature, and then just kind of easing his way back into it. And then kind of where we're at the season, is just kind of all right, let's go with Vitt and see where he goes. And Vitt sparked us when we put him in the ULM game, and we just kind of let Vitt kind of roll from there. And then we've been developing them. They're all getting reps with the ones. We're all developing like crazy. But right now the intention is just to get Vitt going in his last career game here for Texas State.
Coach, one thing I noticed in the Coastal game, you moved Liam Dobson back out to tackle, and then Jaden Smith at left guard. Tell us about that decision.
Yeah, that's a Rubik's cube of the offensive line that we have played with. We started Russell Baker at center. Russell is a better interior guy. He's more confident, more comfortable in the inside. Liam has been playing left guard and he's playing right tackle. And, when we thought that Jaden has been playing well too and he's healthy, Silas is a little banged up. And so we were like, let's move Silas in. Let's move Russell in the center and let's put Jaden Smith right there at left guard, and then we'll have Liam out there at right tackle. Really, the two consistent guys we've had is Kyle Ergel at right guard and Dalton Cooper at left tackle. So we're probably going to go with that right now, and then we'll see where it goes. Man, we've been playing more offensive linemen and more units than anybody out there. So, but I thought they played well in this past game together. I didn't have as many opportunities that we'd like, but for the most part, I thought we were averaging a little over 6 yards a run, and I thought those kids, I thought they fought extremely well for us.
Yeah, a couple interesting plays that went in your favor in that game. The Calvin Hill touchdown before halftime and the Barbie touchdown catch in the third quarter. Can you kind of go through both those plays and what happened there? What was your thinking specifically on Calvin Hill's play? Like, were you just trying to run the clock out and burst it open, or how'd that work out?
Yeah, we have a lot of down plays is what we call them, where if you hit it, like we had 4 seconds left at that point, and we know that if you have an opportunity to hit some air, and then you can get down because we had timeouts left, and try to get into field goal range. That's what we were trying to do. But they were playing a prevent defense the entire time. So, we came out on that 2-minute drive. We came out in 12 personnel, which is a little bit unique, for a 2-minute situation, and we hit Calvin on 2 runs. We started off I was going to see how the first run hit, and Calvin ended up got probably about 10 yards on that one. They got another 10-yard run and got it into really around the 50-yard line. I was seeing if we could hit a big play because Jake Bates is our long range kicker, and Jake's been hitting them from 60. So we're trying to get it in there and get to a down, but the air hit, so it was crazy how much air was hit because they were dropping everybody back, and just to watch them at that point, it's just it's either he's got to score, the clock's going to be ran out at this point, I thought the entire team sold out for Calvin on that play. It was pretty impressive to watch. He made a couple guys miss, but O-line were downfield, and then Javen Banks actually had blocked 2 right when they was crossing the goal line. So never been a part of that ending. Wasn't expecting it to be that way. I was actually working for a field goal, and he ends up hitting a 54-yard touchdown run. So pretty impressive.
On that catch by Barbie, it tipped out of the defender's hands. I mean, was he running the right route, but he was in the right spot? What happened on that play?
Yeah, so that was a check by Vitt. So we had a lot of checks in this game because they do the same defense majority of the time. They just change the demeanor of what they're doing. They'll either be more aggressive or they'll be more prevent style, keep everything in front. And we caught him in a one-on-one, and actually Barbie ran the wrong route. He flattened it off too much. He should have been where the ball was going. It was where Barbie should have been. Because we had a skinny post called where he was going to keep it skinny and high and run through it, but he actually flattened it off. And, just that we got lucky as ever on that play, and he ended up, it got deflected up in the air, and then he ended up redirecting back into where he should have been for the touchdown. So, the ball hasn't bounced our way much this year, so I'll take that one.
And a good game from the running backs, first 100-yard game for Calvin Hill. Do you see them going into next year now with Brock Sturgis and he's in the transfer portal? Are those kind of your 2 guys, Jeter and Hill, going forward?
Yeah, 2 going in, and then we'll bring in 2 more running backs. I think where Calvin and Jeet, just the consistency that they've had over the last 6 weeks, has really shown that those are the guys moving forward. They both have done some great things. We all can keep getting better, but it's good to see the confidence of Calvin and get a 100-yard game, and Jeet's been playing pretty well too. So.
With Sturgis in the portal, have you had conversations with other guys? Are you anticipating more to jump in the portal and announce?
No, you never know. There'll probably be one here and there. I've had a ton of conversations with Brock, and Brock is in. We're in great spirits with. he kind of went through a lot of ups and downs with injuries and things of that nature, and kind of where kind of the deciding factor was when we had 2 DBs targeted for the first half, that they were out. We had to bring more guys there, and then special teams wise, we had to bring in like Brooks McCoy in our 70-man roster on the road. Kind of ended him out on traveling, but we talked about like many times about where he's at, and we knew he talked about entering the portal for a long time with us, and we kind of got to this point, and I'm always trying to help kids out too, and Brock's going to finish his degree here at Texas State, and we're going to try to help him get to another place, to get more touches and where he's at. There's no hard feelings between anybody, and I think Brock has done a lot for this program already, and just proud of what he's done here at this school, and we'll see where the rest goes with Brock, and wish him the best of luck. But the portal, like you're going to see a lot of names probably hit the portal too, because it's like last year everybody was freaking out when people were hitting the portal, but we were trying to help people get to other schools. It comes down to playing time, and it comes down to where they stand on the depth chart, and you'll see guys probably a couple enter here and there, and a lot of it is we've already had these conversations with our kids, like because we had the senior day, which forced our conversations to speed up really 2 weeks, because with the COVID and like who knows like how many years of eligibility half these kids have anyways, so it's just like, all right, you're graduated, you got like this many years of eligibility, are you going to come back where you want, how do you want to help us, do you want us to try to get you to another job, to another school, to finish out your eligibility? And I think you're going to see a ton of people hit the portal this year, because there's a lot of people with eligibility left that are graduated right now, so it's going to get pretty interesting, so but I don't see very much attrition happening with us right now.
Coach, looking at Arkansas State, Butch Jones, first-year head coach, what has he kind of brought to the program that's different this season?
Yeah, Butch, he's a great coach, man. I've known him for a long time. Kind of crossed paths when he was, when spent his time at West Virginia and being at Central Michigan and kind of being around that whole group. And, I went out and visited him when he was at Alabama over the past couple years. Coach Jones is one of the better ones in the business, man. He's done it at the highest level. He's very organized, very structured. He's seen it all, and he's building a program. It's tough to come in and just kind of flip it where he wants to get it. He's putting in new schemes. It's the same coordinator as last year on offense, but they're also implementing a lot of things that he wants. And the same thing on defense is it's a new scheme, new defensive coordinator, so they're putting their guys in place, and you can tell they're developing. They're still playing extremely hard. They're kind of like us right now. There's no quit in this team right now, and Coach Jones is a great motivator, and he's going to get this team ready to go. But I just think with where Arkansas State is and with their facilities and just their program has won a lot of games, especially in the Sun Belt. He'll get that thing back rolling the way he wants it, and they'll be a tough competitor in the future.
Last year's game kind of turned into a shootout a little bit. Do you anticipate this year's being something similar to that?
Man, I don't know. Like, Sun Belt football is bizarre to me, but like we expect it to be a close game. That's who we are, and we embrace it. We understand that like if you're up 100 or down 100, it's going to end up a one-possession game, and it's what it's going to get down to it. So our kids are ready for it, and they're embraced it, and. We know that we got to fight for 4 quarters all the way to the end, and hopefully we get the ball bouncing our way and we make the plays needed when it happens in those critical moments.
It's the final game of year 3 for you. Hasn't gone the way you probably wanted. And what are some things that you've taken away from this year and your first 3 years that you are going to put in place going forward to make year 4 better?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we've talked about. I felt like we finally added depth. We finally got. The roster changed to a certain extent. We still have got to get a lot bigger in profile. We're the biggest we've ever probably been here, and we're still not comparable to a lot of the teams in our league. And that's why we have to fight. We have to fight and play extremely hard. But it comes down to recruiting. And that's what we put an emphasis on. And with this transfer portal and junior college recruiting and high school recruiting and where it's at now, and how you can end up having 33 initials that we can sign, which is really 8 more than what you typically can do. You can change a lot of different things, and that's what we're moving forward with. I finally feel like our culture is right. You know, like we've kind of got rid of some of the selfishness and the finger pointing, and like these kids show up and they fight. Like I'm telling you, like when you have no eligibility for bowl eligibility, and you're really playing for the pride of the game and just the love of the game, and these kids show up and they put everything on the line. They give everything that you got, which and they like each other, they play for each other, which is a great thing, you know. And we got to increase the recruiting, and we got to keep honing in on what these kids are good at doing. You know, like you'd love to play more man, you know, on defense. You know, when you talk to Zach all the time about it, but sometimes you can't. You got to protect them and go. You know, we're going to try to keep increasing our players and get more athleticism and more length and profile, so we can be more competitive and contest more things and be more multiple with what we do. But you know, we get better every single day, from really just a nutritional standpoint to just anything that in this program, like, you know, from academics on, we've been increasing this tremendously. And now we've got kind of the pieces in place. Now we got to make sure that we're putting everything that we need, you know, out there in order to be successful on the field. And I think that these kids are close. They understand how to win games. We're close in all these games. If you look at how many close games we've had over the last few years, it's pretty insane. And it's time that they understand how we can finish these games out, and we'll start getting it to roll from there.
Coach, how much momentum can one get with the last victory of the season, you know, after the way it's gone, and how much momentum can one get, you know, if you do happen to win this last game?
Yeah, you know, it'd be huge for us, you know, as many close games as we've had. You know, you win 4 games, and it's still the most game. If you win 4 games, it's the most the school's won since 2014. You know, and that's not what we're looking for. But like I'm saying, like we're making it better. You know, and like the momentum of that to take it into the off season and just like you're only as good as your last play as your last game, as we all know. Like I've been a part of winning teams, and you lose the bowl game, and you feel like you've lost the entire season. You know, like I've been a part of all sorts of things of that nature, but. You know, just to end on a high note for these seniors and for this program, it'll be a good momentum, you know, swing for us, you know, because we're starting to, if we do that, that means we're starting to, you know, close out big games, and we know that we're capable of doing it, and you can take that confidence leading into the off season. So, yeah, it's just a really big game for our program.
Coach, you know, Don Coryell's talked about increasing the recruiting budget for your program. What will that increase allow you to do this offseason that you haven't been able to before?
A lot, you know, from traveling, just, you know, getting more guys out on the road. You know, we've been really the lowest in the Sun Belt, and now we're going to be competitive with everything else, you know, and that's what we're trying to do. You know, I think Don's been really doing a kind of a deep look into, you know, the finances of everything, and understands that, you know, there's things that we can't fix everything right now, but like there's some important things that we got to put an emphasis on, and we're going to pump money into those areas, and it'll help us out a lot, especially in traveling and hosting recruits. And in today's time, like there really isn't a signing day. Like it is a signing period that literally goes all the way till August 1st, and you got to be able to fly people in and out, like on Tuesdays or Wednesdays or weekends or whenever, and just bring them in. And sometimes that gets expensive, especially if it's like a 24-hour notice, you know, to fly someone in. And now we don't have to worry about that as much, you know, and our logistics of it all. So it's going to help us out a ton, especially because like this whole game comes down to recruiting, you know, and as much as we can pump into the recruiting department, the better we can be.
You know, real quick on Arkansas State, what are you anticipating from their offense and their defense?
Yeah, their offense, they're a spread. It's really a passing attack. They throw the ball like 65 to 70% of the time. So they're a run RPO team too, so that's why they throw it a lot. And they'll drop back and they'll spin it now. And so we've got to be able to, and they're good at it, and they've been good at it over the years. So like they have a lot of these receivers, they're big and they're long and they're physical bodies, and the quarterback Lane Hatcher has played for a long time. So you know, you got to be able to contest everything. There's one-on-one battles across the board on offense and defense. You know, so we're like there's going to be kids putting moments where they got to make plays, and you know that's just from an offensive standpoint right there. You talk about their defense. You know, they're a 4-down front team, and they're going to press everybody on the perimeter. So it's really man-to-man, and they bracket safeties over the top to help contest like certain types of routes. But like with the safeties over the top, it actually adds more guys into the run fit, so there's a lot of free hitters in the run games. Your running backs are going to have to make safeties or overhang linebackers miss. And that it's going to be one-on-ones across the board. Like I always call it a cover zero defense, and I've gone up against these defenses before. They can test everything, and the teams that you got to challenge these kids to go and make plays. So offense and defense, like the new schemes from what we've seen in the past, but they still got the same talent that they've always had.
Any injuries or anything besides? I know you mentioned Silas Robinson might be out.
Yeah, Silas is good though. He's there. He's just not as healthy, so we've got Russell in the mix on that. And besides that, we got a ton of flu going around right now. I don't know if you guys have witnessed any of that, but like we sent home about 12 guys today. So like Texas, University of Texas had 25 cases of the flu like 2 weeks ago, right before they played Kansas. Now we got a bunch of it coming around here, but. Just everybody's got the sniffles and everyone's coughing, and we're just trying to spread people out right now and just make sure that we keep everybody healthy and we get into the game. But that's really all we got.
You almost forget that the flu is there with COVID around. You're like, oh yeah, there's that one.
There's COVID, right? Yeah. It's insane how many cases that we've had over the past 2 weeks. But what can you do?